Hello dear viewers, I hope you are fine. I request you to subscribe this channel and like this video. They say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. You spend months choosing the perfect dress, tasting the cake, and imagining the moment you walk down the aisle toward the person you love. You expect tears of joy, warm embraces, and beautiful memories that will last a lifetime. But as I stood in the center of the beautifully decorated ballroom, looking at the tear-stained faces of my mother and father, my heart didn't feel full. It felt completely shattered. The beautiful white dress I wore suddenly felt like a heavy shroud, suffocating me. My name is Maya. I have always been a quiet person, someone who prefers peace over conflict. I grew up in a modest, hardworking family. My parents, David and Elena, poured every ounce of their love, energy, and savings into raising me. They didn't have a lot of money, but they gave me a life rich in love and respect. When I met Liam, I thought I had found a man who shared those same deeply rooted values. Liam came from an incredibly wealthy, upper-class family. His mother, Evelyn, never missed an opportunity to remind everyone of their high social status. From the very beginning, I felt her cold, judging eyes on me, evaluating my clothes, my background, and most of all, my family. But I truly loved Liam, and he assured me that his mother's old-fashioned snobbery didn't matter. He told me that once we were married, we would build our own independent world together. So, I brushed off the subtle, hurtful comments Evelyn made during our engagement dinners. I ignored the way she sighed whenever my parents spoke about their humble lives. I genuinely believed that love would triumph over pride. But what I didn't know that day was that some people do not view a wedding as a celebration of love. To Evelyn, and secretly to Liam, this wedding was nothing more than a stage. A stage designed to establish a cruel hierarchy, to show my family exactly where they belonged in their wealthy world. I was completely blind to the trap that had been set for us, walking happily into my own celebration, totally unaware of the deep betrayal waiting for my family in the shadows of the grand ballroom. The ceremony itself was absolutely beautiful, a blur of soft music and sweet vows. For a few brief moments, I truly felt like the luckiest woman alive. But the moment we transitioned to the grand reception hall, the atmosphere shifted into something incredibly cold and uncomfortable. As Liam and I were led to the magnificent, elevated head table at the front of the room, I looked around for my parents. I expected them to be seated right at the front, next to Liam's family, sharing this beautiful moment with us. Instead, I found them. My heart instantly dropped into my stomach. My sweet parents were seated at the very back of the massive hall, right next to the swinging doors of the busy kitchen. They were surrounded by the loud clattering of dirty dishes, the rushed footsteps of the catering staff, and the heavy smell of garbage. My mother was wearing her favorite dress, a simple, elegant gown she had saved up for months to buy. My father was sitting stiffly in his older suit, looking down at his lap. They looked so small, so entirely out of place, and deeply isolated. I turned to Liam, my voice trembling with sudden panic. "Liam, why are my parents all the way back there? There must be a mistake with the seating arrangements." Liam didn't even look at me. He just took a slow sip of his expensive champagne and gave a cold, indifferent shrug. "It's not a mistake, Maya. My mother organized the seating chart. Your parents just don't really fit in with our business guests at the front. It's better this way. It avoids any awkward conversations." His words hit me like a physical blow. The man I had just promised to spend the rest of my life with was actively helping to humiliate my family. I looked over at Evelyn, who was sitting gracefully at the main table, wearing a triumphant, mocking smile. She caught my eye and subtly raised her glass to me, completely proud of her cruelty. Until everything changed inside me. As I sat there, watching a careless waiter accidentally spill a drink near my mother, watching her quietly wipe her eyes with a napkin while my father gently held her hand, something inside me broke. The deep pain and intense heartbreak rapidly melted away, turning into a cold, fiercely burning strength. I realized that my silence had allowed this to happen. By trying to keep the peace, I had let the people who loved me most get deeply hurt. I looked at Liam, seeing him clearly for the very first time. He wasn't the protective partner I thought he was. He was just an extension of his mother's cruel, arrogant pride. I knew right then that I couldn't let this night end in their silence and shame. I quietly stood up from the head table, ignoring Liam when he tightly grabbed my wrist and asked me what I was doing. I pulled myself away from his grip, walked gracefully over to the stage, and firmly picked up the microphone from the presenter's stand. The entire room grew completely silent, every eye turning to look at the bride. "Good evening, everyone," I spoke clearly, my voice echoing through the speakers. "I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate tonight. But before we begin the dances, I need to make a very important acknowledgement." I pointed directly toward the back of the room. "Way back there, by the kitchen doors, are the two most important people in this room. My mother and father." Whispers instantly broke out across the crowd. Evelyn's face turned a deep, furious shade of red, and Liam stood up, signaling for the DJ to cut the power to my microphone. But the technician, seeing the raw emotion on my face, didn't turn it off. "My parents taught me about dignity, honesty, and true love," I continued, looking directly at Liam and his mother. "They taught me that a person's real worth is measured by the kindness in their heart, not the size of their bank account." Tonight, my new family tried to hide them away. They tried to make them feel small and embarrassed because they are humble, hardworking people. They believed wealth could buy them the right to humiliate others. I took a deep breath, looking straight at my crying mother, and smiled softly. "But you cannot hide true royalty. And you cannot make me a part of a family that lacks basic human decency. Liam, you told me my parents didn't fit into your world. And you are entirely right. They belong in a much better one." Right there on the stage, I slowly reached behind my head, untied my beautiful bridal veil, and let it drop carelessly to the floor. I walked down the steps, completely ignoring Liam's desperate shouts and Evelyn's horrified gasps. I walked past the wealthy guests, straight to the very back of the room. I took my mother and father by their hands, and together, we walked out of that ballroom, leaving the expensive wedding and the broken relationship completely behind us. Losing Liam didn't feel like a loss at all, it felt like a miraculous rescue. That night, I learned that true love will never ask you to sacrifice yourself. Respect, or the respect of the people who raised you. Justice isn't always about destroying your enemies, sometimes it's simply about standing up, exposing the truth, and walking away into the peace of your own worth.